Hello everyone and welcome to the channel, and I'm here for a list video for you guys. Now for this list, I'm going to be going over my most anticipated albums of 2021 and beyond. Now all of these bands that I'm naming here have confirmed to be working on brand new albums. And these are, of course, some of my most anticipated and, well, I would say my most anticipated. But I know that there are other bands that have basically confirmed that other albums will eventually come, and there's a good chance that other bands that I really like that aren't listed here might come out with albums later this year, but we'll see. But these are just bands currently that have been confirmed to be working on brand new albums. So let's go ahead and get into this list. It's in no particular order, by the way. I think the first band we'll talk about is Iron Maiden. I mean, what can I say about Iron Maiden that hasn't been said? I mean, they're obviously legends in heavy metal, and their last album was The Book of Souls. That was way back in 2015, so it has been a while since their last album. And you know Iron Maiden, they do like to take their time when releasing an album, of course, especially nowadays. Now, back in their early days, they released albums a lot more frequently, of course, but nowadays you do gotta wait a little while for new music from the band. Now, The Book of Souls, it was a good album. It was. I do think it was a good album, but I do think it was an overhyped album. I don't think that album is as great as a lot of fans say it is. I do think it is a good album, though, even though I don't think it's one of their best, like a lot of fans claim it to be. But it is a good album. But I am hoping that this next Iron Maiden album really does, well, basically do better than The Book of Souls. I just hope that it's a better album overall. I'm sure whatever it is that they're going to offer next, it's going to be a good one. So Iron Maiden, definitely looking forward to this one. And if you're a metalhead, how are you not excited for new Iron Maiden? Come on now. But anyways, the next band I want to talk about is Metallica. Maybe some of you don't know, but Metallica is working on new music, and they are working on a new album. Now, when it's supposed to come out, I have no idea. Again, because, you know, Metallica, they also like to take their good old time, you know. They like to, I guess, not release albums as frequently as, you know, a lot of bands today either. Kind of like Iron Maiden. That's usually the case with a lot of the early metal bands. A lot of them do like to, I guess, take their time, I guess. So, yeah, but Metallica is working on new music, and I have to say, after their last album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I pretty much have hope in this band now. I mean, this is one of those bands that I feel like really got back on the right track with their latest album. So I'm sure whatever it is Metallica has to offer next, I'm sure it's going to be good. At least I hope, unless they come out with another album like Saint Anger, but I seriously doubt that. So Metallica, definitely looking forward to their next album, and I mean, come on, how can you not be anticipating a new Metallica album? I mean, they are probably one of my favorite metal bands. I don't know about my number one, but top 10 easily, top 10 favorite metal bands. So yeah, Metallica, definitely looking forward to this one. The next band I want to talk about is Megadeth. It's been confirmed for a few years now that Megadeth has been working on a new album, and how we haven't gotten the new album yet is beyond me. I have heard that the band doesn't want to put out an album unless they can tour again. I know there's a lot of bands that are doing that, which does make me have a little bit of concern for this year's lineup of music, because I just think, how much are we really going to get this year if these bands, you know, kind of go that route, I guess, like don't release an album unless they can tour again. But we do know that Megadeth is either working on a new album, or they just have the album done already and they're just, you know, waiting for tours to come back to release it. I'm not sure what their plan is, but either way, we do know that a Megadeth album is coming, and their last album was Dystopia. I thought it was a good album. Kind of like with the Book of Souls, Dystopia is an album that I do think is kind of overhyped. I know there's a lot of fans that say, oh, you know, it's one of their best albums or whatever. Now, I will say that it probably is their best album in a while, but to me, that's not saying much. Like, if I want to listen to Megadeth, I'm not going to be listening to the modern era. not even Dystopia. I'm going to go listen to their 90s and 80s material. You know what I'm saying? But I really do hope that this next Megadeth album will be good, which I'm sure it will be. I've heard, Dave Mustaine mention a lot of things about how it's, one of their heaviest albums, and I think it's going to be a good one. So Megadeth's new album is definitely one that I'm definitely looking forward to. Now the next album up is Fear Factory. Fear Factory is working on a new album. I think that's something that a lot of fans, of course, know at this point. Their last album was Genexus, I think it's called. I honestly don't remember that album too much. You have to keep in mind that I am kind of a newer fan of Fear Factory, so yeah. But I am definitely glad I got into this band because they are a really great band, and I'm definitely looking forward to new Fear Factory. So yeah, the next band and album I want to talk about is Trivium. Maybe some of you don't know, but Trivium is working on a new album. Supposedly this one is supposed to be one of their heaviest albums, which is, well, quite interesting, I must say. And it's kind of weird because we just had What the Dead Men Say last year, which, I'll be honest, didn't really hold up very well, but it was a good album. It was definitely a good album. Definitely top 5 favorite albums of last year, that's for sure. But it doesn't hold up that well. So I'm hoping that this next Trivium album will be good. I'm hoping that it'll be maybe one of the best albums from the band. Now with Trivium, they've never released a bad album, so yeah, there's that. I'm sure the new album will be good. So the next band I want to talk about is Demon Hunter. Now Demon Hunter, as you know, is a band that I do have some bias towards. They were one of the bands that got me into metal. And some of you might be rather surprised that Demon Hunter is already coming out with an album. It could be coming out later this year. Who knows? The album title has been confirmed, though. It's called Exile, which is an interesting name for sure. And, this album will, of course, be the follow-up to War and Peace. Now, I know we just had their latest acoustic album, Songs of Death and Resurrection, which the song Praise the Void from that album is actually kind of our first little, well, it's technically the first song that we heard from the new album Exile. So that is interesting. That's something that us fans didn't know at first when listening to the acoustic album. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for Demon Hunter's new album. I'm sure it'll be a good one. I'm wondering if they'll go maybe on the heavier direction or maybe go in the softer direction, more mellow like Peace. I'm not sure what they'll do with this album, but either way, I'm looking forward to it because Demon Hunter is just one of those bands that are just so unpredictable. They're easily one of the first bands that come to mind when I think of, bands that are unpredictable when it comes to releasing albums and, album titles and stuff. But this is definitely one I'm looking forward to, and yeah, definitely excited for Demon Hunter's new album, Exile. We have no idea when it's coming out, but we know that it's coming at some point, either later this year or early 2022. So the next band and album I want to talk about is Dream Theater. Dream Theater is maybe my favorite progressive metal band. It's hard to say, but yeah, definitely a great band, and the last album we had from Dream Theater was in 2019, Distance Over Time, which was a really great album. I thought that was actually their best album in quite a while at the time. So I'm definitely curious to see how they follow up that album. I'm hoping that this next Dream Theater album ends up being maybe one of their best, but who knows, of course. But yeah, we do know that Dream Theater is working on a new album, and we don't know when it's coming. It could come out later this year, early 2022. We just don't know yet, but we know that a new Dream Theater album is coming. Now the next album I want to talk about is Yes. So that's right, if you didn't know, Yes is working on a new album. Either they have it done, or they're just waiting to release it, or they're still working on it. I'm not sure what the case is. Yeah, it's kind of surprising that Yes is still working on music, even after decades later, because I believe Yes has been around since the late 60s, so it's kind of shocking that this band is still, around making music. So yes, definitely a great band, one of the best prog rock bands, and I'm definitely looking forward to their new album. Now, when it comes to modern Yes, it's not something that I, well, needless to say, think too highly of, but it's not bad though. So I'm really hoping that this next Yes album will maybe even be their best album in years, but we'll have to see. But yeah, Yes, they're working on a new album, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, the next band and album I want to talk about is Red. If you didn't know, Red is working on new music as well. This is something that I found kind of surprising, since we just had Declaration last year. Now, Declaration, it's not one of Red's best. As a matter of fact, it's maybe one of my least favorite Red albums nowadays. The album really didn't hold up very well, if I'm being honest. The album was way too short for one, and they released way too many singles before the album came out, and also the album didn't have any ballads, and the album overall just kind of felt like more of the same. And then you could also make the argument that it was basically an Of Beauty and Rage B-sides album. That's kind of what it sounds like to me anyways. So, and all that, the album was a little underwhelming. It definitely could have been better. So I'm really hoping that Red does step it up with the next album. I mean, I will admit that Red's new album is one of the ones that I'm the least excited for on this list, just given how underwhelming the last few albums have been from this band. I mean, Of Beauty and Rage really did seem like the last album where they actually gave a crap, So I am still curious about this new Red album, though. If it is a new album, I don't know if they're releasing an album. Well, they will eventually. We do know that, but I don't know if what they're working on is the new album, or if it's a single, or if it's a new EP. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll have to wait and see. So Red, had to mention them on this list. Now, the last band I want to talk about is 3 Days Grace. We do know that 3 Days Grace is working on a new album, of course. I mean, this is one of those bands that like to release an album like every 3 years, and they've been doing that since the beginning. So it's no surprise that we're getting a new 3 Days Grace record this year. Now, when it's supposed to come out this year, I'm not sure. If I were to guess, maybe the fall time. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, so 3 Days Grace, this will be the third album with Matt on vocals, their current vocalist. I really hope that 3 Days Grace also steps it up as well. I mean, these modern rock bands nowadays with their last few albums, I mean, these albums have really been underwhelming, like severely. So 3 Days Grace is another band that I really do hope steps it up, especially with the lyrical department. The lyrics definitely need work. I'll go ahead and say that. But either way, definitely an album I'm anticipating. I'll definitely listen to it, and I don't know, I'm kind of looking forward to it. So 3 Days Grace, that's an album I had to mention. So there you have it, guys. That is a list of my most anticipated albums of 2021 and beyond. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for any of these albums? Maybe you're excited for all of the ones that I've mentioned here. Feel free to let me know your thoughts. What are your most anticipated albums of the year, and so on. So feel free to let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and take care.